coping and how you cope. Right. There is ineffective coping. Okay, that means when whatever you do is not very good. First is the freezing. And freezing, we talked earlier about denial and withdrawing and just not facing the situation. Delay. What does delay mean? Delay means that you put it off forever. Procrastination. You don't do that report, you put it off. You avoid talking with your boss. You just avoid handling a situation. Sometimes it helps you make a better decision later, rather than reacting. So, but generally it's not solving the problem. None of these ineffective coping styles solve the problem. Anger is a very ineffective way of coping. You may feel a little better, but nobody else around you does. And unrelated action is a very interesting one because it is a way that most of us cope with. For instance, an unrelated action is anything we do when we are stressed rather than solve the problem. It can be eating. It can be smoking. It can be drinking. It can be social drug taking. It can be domestic violence. It can be violence of any kind. Spanking a child. It's when we are stressed, but the action we take has nothing to do with the reason that we were stressed about. And that is probably the most common way we all cope. We think we cope, or we used to cope. So these are ineffective coping styles. And then there are effective coping styles, which of course the easiest one is to solve the problem. Like McCandless, to be prepared. If you know there's a storm coming, you get candles out and there might be a power failure and you take whatever precautions. You go to the supermarket and get water and you get supplies and so on. You reprogram your brain. You go through a further analysis of is it real or is it my imagination or my creation. If there's something I can do about it, I should do something. Say no. I find that as a woman, that is one of the hardest and most frequent ways of not coping very well, is the fact that we cannot bring ourselves to say no. It's like the world won't love us if we say no. We're asked to do something. Oh yes, I'll do it. You're up to here in work? Oh yes, I'll do it. I remember David Feller, who was at Ames Research Center many years ago, saying to me one day, for heaven's sake, woman, say no. And that stuck in my brain, and it was one of the most useful pieces of advice I ever had. You don't say no just to be flip, but, there are things that it just isn't appropriate for you to do. Someone else should do it. Someone else could do it better. You discuss it. There is the business of that you can talk with people. We humans can communicate verbally. And the last on that list is avoid stress emitters. To the extent that you can avoid them to the extent that you can structure your interaction at certain times of day when you're more relaxed, when your baseline is more healthy, then adjust your interaction at those times.